Before we maybe have a wee blether, I would like to just bring people up to speed about our Creating Better Lives Regional Grants programme, because that's what we're going to have a bit of a chat about in a wee minute, and more specifically what we've been doing in the Fife area. So before the pandemic and after each of the learning events that Jerry very kindly mentioned this morning in his opening remarks, we opened a small grants programme for each relevant NHS region. Local organisations as part of that programme are asked to apply to deliver work which would support people living with dementia and unpaid carers in their own community. So that very local approach, and it's been highlighted many times today in the webinar. And we would offer them grants of between £2,000 and £15,000 to carry out or deliver a project over 18 months. Once all the applications are submitted, we then ensure that that local approach is maintained within that decision-making process. And we establish a local panel of people who are working in the area of dementia, including people with dementia and also unpaid carers where it's possible and where they're able to. We also have Life Changes Trust staff on hand to offer advice and guidance to the panel. But at the end of the day, it is the panel who actually make the final decision in which applications are successful or otherwise. We also, as an added element to that, and in order to capture that learning, which is really important, and we've heard a lot about that today and how that can influence change, we also appoint a collaborative support from a learning network coordinator who then supports those projects to connect and link with each other and provides that kind of key driver for that change to happen. By providing those small grants, as we know, locally, directly to groups, we then strengthen the relationships between people and their own community. And I think Eileen's quote that was mentioned by Maggie about taking a village to bring up a child, but it's a community that supports people with dementia and unpaid carers is really well put and really brings together the real purpose of this programme for us at the Trust. It's really important that people can access knowledge, support and expert advice of larger organisations, but sometimes what our experience has been, it's those very local grassroots organisations that can make the most biggest difference and most significance in people's lives. So, in the summer of 2020, we accelerated the small grants programme as a result of COVID and opened it to 4 of the 9 health board areas left to be launched. So, in the summer, we launched Edinburgh and the Lothians, we launched Fife, we launched the Borders, and we launched Tayside. And we'll open the 5 remaining areas in the next few months towards the end of the spring. So I'm delighted to say that the Fife programme, the panel approved 15 grants there, totalling £185,383. It's important to get all those pounds and pence in. And this was all awarded locally, and all of the projects and details of who's been successful can be found on the Life Changes Trust website. And as part of the post-event email, we will post a link to that so that people can see that. But I'm delighted to have Cath Carter here, who was one of the recipients of one of those awards, to tell us a bit more about the project and what's happening with that. So Cath, can you tell us briefly a bit about North East Fife Community Hub and what it offers in the community?
Hi Arlene, yes. So the North East Fife Community Hub was established in 2018 by the community for the community. The idea is it's a safe meeting place, a one-stop shop for anybody. It doesn't matter what diagnosis you've got, what label you've got, if you've got any problems or if you haven't. So you can come in for a coffee and a blether. You can have some homemade cake or the famous frittata that Jill makes. Or you can join in with some of the groups that we did, which are armchair exercises, dominoes, the hubbub singing group, or maybe you come in to visit Storehouse, so the food bank, if that's what you need, or to actually talk to a professional. So it meant that you could just come in for anything. And nobody would know why you were there. So it was a safe place for anybody. I'm really excited to tell you that on Monday, we will actually have our forever home. So through assets transfer legislation, we've actually bought St David's Centre from the council. So it means that the council will continue to run the day service when that can be back up and running from one wing, but for the rest of the building we can use as a community. So it means that we'll have a permanent base for people to come to when we're allowed to reopen.
That's fantastic, Cath. Absolutely brilliant news, and good that you were able to tell people about that today in the webinar. I'm sure a lot of people that are connected to the hub and those that are interested will be filling your inbox with questions and lots of comments of congratulations. So we know that you've been successful with the Regional Grants Programme. So can you tell us a wee bit about the project and how it's progressing?
Yeah, so obviously COVID's made us have to relook at everything. And obviously our initial plans we can't quite put into operation at the moment, but we still firmly believe that individuals are key and that you have to work with people irrespective of their diagnosis and just treat people as a person. You know, it doesn't matter, I'm just Cath, it doesn't matter who I am, you know, my professional background or anything. And to actually develop people. So we've had many examples through the pilot of where somebody's coming very shy, maybe with a support person, and gradually actually they've been the champion that can talk to others, that can support others, or maybe assist with just wrapping cutlery and giving them value once more. So during lockdown, it's been important for us to maintain some contact with our regulars, but rather than us just doing that all the time, what we've got is people to swap numbers with each other. So they're supporting each other. That community is still being upheld, whether it's direct with phone calls, whether it's letters, whether it's actually through, you know, messages through family, because if I'm a bit deaf, I can't really use the telephone, but you know, I can get support. Also being heavily involved with the Community Action St Andrews group, which was set up as soon as COVID started, and coordinating some of the practical needs there. The clothes bank stayed running, looked at training, and obviously looking at our building and how can we make this work with maybe the one-way systems, with 2 metre distances, with ensuring that we've got any signage right, because obviously if we're renovating this building, let's try and get it right in the first instance. And then obviously looking at a takeaway and delivery service, and how, when we're allowed to, can we bring people back? Because if people have been inside for a long time, they're going to be anxious, they're going to be quite nervous about coming out. So how can we support that to happen? So that we can actually build up that community once more, and use technology for some people that maybe now can't leave their home but still want to be able to join with others. So yeah, quite a busy time.
And I think that's been the really important thing about this programme and that kind of focus on local approach is that, in particular through the pandemic, you know, those communities have been able to be really flexible and adapt to change really quickly. And a big part of that is because you know the community, you know the people in it, you know what response works, and you can be really agile in relation to providing that. So that's really good to hear, Cath.
And I think a big thing is that many people were willing to volunteer. And it's brought a lot more people out that actually they find that they can support each other, that we can be neighbours to each other. We don't have to have special qualifications. We can just say hello and be that friend.
Absolutely, everybody has a part to play and they're experts in their own way, so that's really important. And I think what all of that will do, Cath, and it's important for everybody in the webinar to know, is that all of this learning is really important, and we need to capture that, particularly as we transition and recover out of the kind of pandemic and what that will look like. What we've done for the Regional Grants Programme is we've also commissioned an evaluation of the approach and what the projects are doing. Blake Stevenson are carrying that out at the moment, and we'll publish a report towards the end of the year, reflecting on, you know, as I say, the programme and how that's impacted in several different areas, including Fife. So many thanks, Cath, for joining us today. It's been really good to hear about the progress, and best of luck as things kind of move forward. So I'll bid you farewell if that's okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Thanks, Cath.
Bye.
Before I introduce the next part of the programme, I wanted to really just say a few words on the importance of today's event and all of this learning going forward, because this isn't just a moment in time, this is the start of some new conversations. This has been lots of months in the planning. Huge thanks to the planning group that were put together. Many thanks to Stand, and in particular Ruth McCabe for supporting us all the way through this process and bringing together those key people in order to put this fantastic programme of work together for today, and also for the storytelling sessions that happened a week or so ago. What we have shared a lot today regards local learning from projects, and more critically, what local people say are their priorities for dementia now in the future is so important. We will receive a detailed report, so going back to what John had said, the real power of that storytelling and really drawing out what really matters to people in a really safe and supportive way has been a real focus for us at Life Changes Trust throughout all of these events, and in particular what we've done in relation to Fife today, and the priorities have been drawn from that. So although we get a summary of those discussions from Shona and Dan, we also get a more detailed report from the storytellers that gets really into the heart and digs much more deeper into those conversations. And we will share that publicly with people on the webinar and with key people within health and social care in the third sector across Fife, in terms of looking at those plans moving forward and how we help support make that change happen. I know that locally Fife are developing their own dementia strategy, and I know that's been happening over the last wee while, just because of delays with COVID and also with the national strategy. And I am sure and I'm confident all that has been shared today will play a critical role in how that's informed. And I would welcome anybody that's involved in that work to have a conversation with us at the Trust, or with anybody who's part of that call or today's call, and taking some of this work forward, because there's been lots of things coming through around post-diagnostic support, around, where diagnosis takes place, around the real value of community and dementia-friendly communities in particular, in playing that critical role in delivering post-diagnostic support, and not just being that activity of choice as part of that offer. And I also think the real value of peer support at many levels, and the importance of engaging people with dementia and carers, but also others at every level. So it's multi-layered in terms of that support. And really, when you're developing and looking at plans moving forward, that you take all that into account and really recognise that there's really valuable experience out there, and we really want to be using that to make change happen. So I'm encouraging everyone today, this is a call to action for us all, to take the learning from today's webinar that is relevant and helpful for you within your own families, within your own groups, your organisations, or the sectors that you work for, to make that change happen, because we want to make sure that the honesty that's been expressed in the storytelling sessions, in particular from people with that experience, goes much further than today's conference and starts to really influence change going forward. So today is not the end of the conversation, as I've said, but the beginning of new ones, with collaboration at a focus.